Okay, we're going to get started. And I just want to mention I have three musketeers with me. They happen to be my sons. The first one is Bart, and he's president and owner of Trudeau Architects and Trudeau Online. And then I have Mark. Mark is the youth minister for St. Ambrose. And then Jeffrey. Jeffrey and I are the only two that graduated from RPI. And Jeffrey took off, and he's been for several decades now out in the next hemisphere. He and his partner design and build out of bamboo. They also show you how to plant it. So there's your next lecture. See? So now I want to say the way I set this up is I picked 6 jobs that I hope to do in 40 minutes, and then I picked 6 groups that I hope to do quicker than that, and then we can all go home. It should be around 4:30, 5 o'clock. Okay, so now we'll start. And I started with Louis Kahn because I heard a lecture from Louis Kahn some 6 years ago. He was part of the Pennsylvania suit, and he mentioned something that really influenced me, and that is that architecture is it's an institution, and I thought that was a pretty good thing. I had never looked at it that way. Of course, I was just starting school, but I see that as saying that there is a culture that's built in all of us, where we live, when we live, and everything else. And if you look at it as a forest, then the institution of architecture could be that bunch of trees that were planted there by us, rather than think of architecture as an individual effort. It's not. It's a community effort, and we're all in it, and we plant our own trees. So, and then I have a flyer. He discussed all the arts. I thought that was pretty good. Okay, next. Now, the first presentation here is the floor plan of a fraternity that we were awarded to do, and the fraternity was to have some 55 students, and the site is behind Troy High School on Sunset, and the site at the beginning, right here, this being Sunset, is very narrow. Over on that side, it's wide and flat and 6 or 8 feet lower. So, no, not too like, no. Okay. And so here is the fraternity, and here are the units on the fraternity, toilet facilities, showers, and that, these units. The fraternity brothers area stops right here. There are doors there, and this was designed, it was a Catholic, it still is, Catholic fraternity, Phi Kappa Theta. And that was my fraternity, and I was told that there should be some privacy. So I put all the brothers here, and the public on this side. And on the public side, I put down there could be a floor plan here if I can find it. There's a waiting area, not a waiting area, it's a sitting area with a fireplace, dining, kitchen, and storage. Below this is an activity room that this is being 2 stories. The activities can occur outside, and they build a hockey rink out there, volleyball courts, all kinds of things. So it's pretty handy. Now, in here, there is 1 and 2 men, 1 or 2 in each room, and each room is quite private. This area here and here is it's a. I looked at this as like a street, so that the brothers could come out on this street and talk and not disturb the guys that were studying, the few. So this being a 2-story, there's a spiral staircase that goes to the next one in the balcony, and that's true all over. And then you could be watching a ball game or whatever. Okay. And this area here is it faces Troy High School, and RPI campus, and down to the river. It's very good, nice view. Okay, but and see, that's this view here. You're looking down Troy, and here are the 2-story buildings. And okay, but this is another entrance. And here I show this because it goes down into a well-like, because I dig the house in. See, it's on a slope, and I dig it in, so like a caterpillar. And it grits onto the floor, and I opened the area some so that the men in here could come out and study on these pits, So next part. And here's another entrance. Next, Bart. And here, see, you can see these study areas where there's 2-story. The finishes on the fraternity is the roofs extend to the ground like this, and it's all copper standing seam. And the siding is wood, vertical wood installation. Okay. Next. Okay. Now here is what I'm talking about here. What influenced me? When you go to RPI, you have an option. You have 2 options in the School of Architecture. One is a structural option, and the other one is a design option. Because of this bridge here, and I was in the Navy at the age of 17, and I was in Brooklyn for a little while before we went overseas, and I used to walk the bridge, and then I just thought it was so beautiful. And of course, from northern Vermont, we have only wood bridges, So these cables and all that, it fascinated me. So I thought what I would do is design bridges when I grew up. And now Dr. Bembe was my professor, and he advised me not to go into the structural option. He said, you ought to go into the design option, because he thought I was a good designer. But it added a year more of schooling. And let's see. While hiking to Vermont, I would hike from Philadelphia to northern Vermont, where I live. I stopped on the road. Well, I got, the guy says, where you going? I says, I'm going northern Vermont. Well, I'm going to Bennington, but it's halfway. There's people that sell books, and I saw this guy. He's standing on the side of the road, and he's got all these books, and he's got a book of poems. Mary Lee and I, we like poems. read poems. And so I bought this book, 25 cents, I think. And it's a Longfellow. And the first poem on that book was The Builders. I don't know if any of you ever read that, but it was fascinating. And I always remember the second verse, that nothing useless is or low, each thing in its place fits best. What seems but idle show strengthens and supports the rest. This is a poem. It's a poet. It's not an architect. You see, when we say architecture is an institution, you know. So that's how come I got into where I am now. Okay, next. Cohoes Fire House. This is the existing firehouse. Cohoes, through a lot of our work, got an award to be the model city in Cohoes. Anybody from Cohoes? Probably, yeah. So they got a lot of money from the government. One of the funds went to the chief here, and he wanted a new firehouse. I had a friend that I taught with at Hudson Valley, Paul Van Busker, and he told me about it. I came down to see him. He told me he had this fund, and they wanted a new firehouse, and they wanted the firehouse had to have a protection. This was, let's see, 1967. Yeah, it had from radiation, and they call it PF factor. The PF factor for this building had to be at least 100. So that was not easy to achieve, being that the part that's going to be underground will have to be supported from the first floor, and the first floor had quite a few bays. So in order to, okay, next. You see, so we came up with this solution, and this is the basement, and this would be the emergency operating center. This is a core area, and then this is the first floor. And you see, it's pretty wide. And now we found that the PF factor, protection factor for the floors had to be 100. So that is very heavy, and we wind up having a lot of columns in the basement. So I thought that what we should probably do is try to avoid that. And in order to do that, we have these columns, and we span the, let's see the next part. Oh, yeah. This is a working drawing. And this tells the contractor what to do, gives all the structures, all the reinforcing rods and whatever. It's kind of neat, I think. Now, see, this is the column, and what we did is we hung the roof between the two columns, and then as we pulled on these columns, it put pressure on the floor, and it crushed the floor. So we took the roof load through this beam down to here and put it in the floor, and that gave us enough power to be free of columns on the basement. So that was a big deal. Now, okay, no, I'll say this. You see, this right here is a beam that's holding the roof, but as the roof is transferring its load down, we turn the beam. Normally, what you would have is you'd have a beam this way and bar joists or whatever, you know. But I reversed that and took advantage of that force, brought it into the slab. Next. See here, This is a model, but you see here are your flat beams, and then here's your roof suspension between them. Okay, next. Now, the site was on the Erie Canal. This is the Erie Canal. It's full of junk now. Well, it got filled up over the years. This is not something new. And so when they gave us the site, I looked here and I thought to set the firehouse on top of this I would save all the footing costs. So this is what I did next. And this is not a model. It's it's the real thing. And here is your walls of the Erie Canal where the locks were. And now you see all these lines, all this the chief, he told me when the first time I met him, he says, I like colonial buildings, you know, drop siding type of stuff. Oh, okay. So this is an exaggerated drop siding made out of concrete. He didn't say anything. Okay, next. Huh? Oh, and here is the entrance. This again is not a model. This is the real thing. You know, I explained that. I'm sure you're ready to design one yourself. Go ahead.